welcome back to another episode of Unlimited Abundance. I have such a juicy episode today with so much information that I think is genuinely going to blow you away. You're going to have so many revelations because I know when I found out about solar return readings and had mine read, it was life-changing. But before I hop on in, I wanted to just throw in two announcements on here. First of all, of course, welcome back to another episode. If you're watching this on YouTube or if you're watching this on your favorite podcast platform, I have two announcements of two really exciting things. The first one is that after so many requests, I am now going to be hosting online pole classes. So if you don't follow me on any other platform, this might be confusing, but as you know, I do pole dancing for fun. I love it. I'm very passionate about it, and so many of you have been asking and DMing me saying you want to learn, but you may be not comfortable to go to a studio yet, and that it's just something you'd rather want to like essentially start in the privacy of your own home, or just start learning, or even if you do go to a studio, to refine your moves. And because there's so much to learn, so even if you already pole dance, you probably already know there's like infinite things to learn. So anyway, I have two style of classes. The first one is going to be called Melt, and it's going to be, our first session is going to be on November 23rd from 5:30 to 6:30 p.m. Pacific. Melt is more of a low flow sensuality technique class. It's all levels, and inside we're going to go through a lot of things. We'll have a stretching session and we'll go through the entire process. And this class is really just meant to be a space to get in tune with your body, to get in tune with your sensuality, your flow, how to move and melt through your movement. So this is really focused on that. This isn't it's not going to be crazy tricks or anything like that. This is more focused on teaching you and inviting you into a space where you can learn to really embody your inner sensual self and just really get back to the breath and learn to move in a really fluid, silky, yummy, buttery motion. And of course, there'll be a lot of technique in there, so you'll learn a lot of really beautiful transitions and moves and ways to really flow. So whether you're a beginner or you've been doing it for a long time, there's so much you'll be able to take away, and it's online, of course. So I know a lot of people, I moved it back. It's supposed to be actually today. I moved it back because a lot of you guys wanted to order your own pole, which I totally recommend. I really suggest having a pole at home if you can. I know that maybe to some people it sounds like really extra, I can imagine, but I guess like once you've done it for a long time, like it sounds so normal. But I understand that for a lot of people that might be like sound weird, but if you have any space, if you have anywhere to put it, I really recommend it, because you can begin to learn and grow in the comfort of your own home and practice when you desire, and really learn and really have this, whether you just allow it to be your own safe space to embrace your sensuality and kind of a space to come back to your body and have a community, or whether you want to learn and like, you know, continue learning and progressing. I think it's really great to have one. So I'm going to link one in the keynotes that I recommend. I recommend the X Pole 45 millimeter chrome. It's pretty standard at most studios. That's the kind of standard. Some people do different finishes. That's the finish that I just recommend personally. They're really easy to put up. They don't damage your walls. It just uses pressure. And of course, you'd use like a stud finder. You'd find where the ceiling is flat. It's not difficult to install. So I'm really excited about that, because it's something that I feel like has been a long time coming, and I'm just excited to offer you guys a space where you can kind of, in the privacy of your own home, to begin to learn and grow and evolve. And I know that the pole is definitely an investment, but I'm telling you, I first just bought a random one off Amazon, and the quality is literally night and day difference, like night and day. Like, I'm not being dramatic when it's like Michael Kors versus Hermes. Like, I'm telling you, it's like night and day difference. But if that pole is too much of an investment, although I really just suggest, if possible, to invest in it, because you'll have it and it'll last you and you won't have to get rid of it. Because if you get a different pole that's not the best quality, essentially at some point you're going to have to get rid of that one, because lower quality ones don't spin as well, they don't grip as well, the width is different, the setup, like they're just not the same caliber as X Pole. But if that is too big of an investment, you can find ones at Amazon that have good reviews. But I'm telling you, I had one of the Amazon ones. I think it's called like Serene Life, and it's fine if you're just going to be doing like just essentially almost using it almost like a static pole, just kind of doing like low flow things like that. Then you can definitely use that. But if you're going to want to later do spin and tricks and things like that, I really just suggest investing in it one time and then you have it, versus what I did is I didn't know back in the day when I ordered it, and later as like I got into the pole community, people were like, and I was like, oh, my pole's just like not good at home. They're like, which one do you have? Like, this one from Amazon. They're like, that's why. So it's kind of one of those things where, like, if you can, I really suggest getting it, because you won't have to waste your money later and throw it away. But if you are like, I don't want to invest that much, but I want to get started, then, you can use the Amazon more as like a low flow pole, meaning you won't like be doing crazy tricks on it. You'll be just kind of using it to dance around, kind of more in and around the pole, like low flow style, which means like not doing inverts and crazy tricks, but kind of being in and around it. So I really suggest that, especially if you've been desiring to. I know a lot of you have messaged me that you've been really desiring to get into pole, and maybe it's really new, and maybe you don't even know where to start. And I think that's definitely a thing with pole, where there's so much, and you really have to. I think it's really good to have a structured way of learning, because there is so much in terms of like just strength training. There's so much in terms of tricks, in terms of combos, in terms of flow, in terms of technique. Like there is so much. So I feel like an organized way of learning is really important. And so I'm really excited to offer Melt. I hope to see you if you're able to join. You also get the full recording. So meaning like if you want to practice, I want you to be able to have it. So whether if you can't make it live, you'll still get the recording. So I definitely recommend or grabbing it, even if you know you're not going to be able to maybe do it until the week after or even 2 weeks after, because you'll have the recording. And yeah, so you can practice, of course, look back at it, like continuing evolving your practice. You'll get to keep those recordings and replay. So I'm really excited about that. I'm at a loss for words. It's really, really exciting. If that resonates with you, I really just invite you to like let yourself explore a whole new territory, let yourself connect with your sensuality, let yourself connect with your pleasure, and give yourself a community. I'm really aiming to build like this online pole community through these classes, where you can come into this like safe, sensual space each week and learn and grow, because that's what pole did for me. It really changed my life, the community aspect of it, and just everything about it. And so I'm really excited to bring this virtually to you guys online. The next thing, I'm not going to talk too deeply about it because I just announced it yesterday. I haven't even announced it like on Instagram. I just put it on Eventbrite. I'm going to be hosting a next ceremony, which is going to be on November 26th. And it's going to be called Let's Get You Rich. It's a financial abundance ceremony and ritual from 12 to 1:30 p.m. Pacific. Same deal, full recording included. There's a lot of announcements. I'm going to wrap up now, but if you're called to join, check out the Eventbrite. You'll know all the details about that. Really, really powerful. And without further ado, let's hop on into the episode. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Unlimited Abundance. I'm so excited to be back, and I'm back today with one of our favorite guests, my mom, and also astrologer, KSENIA. We've had her on, I believe, 2 or 3 times at this point. So if you've missed any of those astrological episodes, definitely go check it out. I know we did one on how to look at Mars and Venus in your chart and the importance of that, how to also look at your sun and moon in your chart to see what's going to fulfill you, both in terms of giving you energy and life and emotional fulfillment. And we've done another episode as well. So we have a lot of really amazing episodes all on astrology. If you want to learn more and understand your chart a bit deeper to gain insights, definitely recommend you listen to those. And today we have a super, super exciting video and talking about a topic that I've been recently so passionate about and what inspired both of us to come on here. We're going to talk about how to do looking at solar return charts, what they are, how powerful they are, and a little bit more about that. But before we dive in, I want to say welcome. Thank you for joining us back for another episode.
Greetings, my dear friends. I'm very excited to be back and share insights that I know. As Polina alluded, I'm also very fascinated about astrology and its accuracy. And at some point, you even wonder, like, how this could predict what happens in your life. But I think because we are energies, we're all influenced by different energies, and those energies on probably 70% guide us. I mean, we still have free will, so don't forget about that.
I guess we're going to start with just one main question just to open up the space, and you can answer kind of shortly just so people can see how impactful this is. How powerful are solar return readings? And can you tell us what is a solar return reading as well? We'll just go straight into it because I think there's so much to uncover here.
Sure. So solar return reading is a forecasting technique. You guys know that astrology is a great science. I would call it science, such as like a medicine. So you would compare that to medicine, because this is observation-based science, empirical, if we talk in academic terms, right? So, and what solar return is is a method of forecasting what's going to happen in your life in the next 12 months from that time when you celebrated your birthday. For example, if your birthday was yesterday, November 9, 2022, then if we build this solar return chart, it will be forecast for the next 12 months until November 9, 2023. So it is a snapshot of energy when your sun returned to the same position when you were born. But it could be different placement of other planets, so different areas of your lives could be highlighted. So with the solar return, you will see what kind of events, what kind of themes will be active in the next 12 months, what's going to be most important, because you will look at where your ascendant is, where your MC is, where your sun and moon and all other planets, because each planet is an archetype of energy, and then that energy is explained where you're gonna be energetically in that year. And of course, it will tell where events most likely will happen and what kind of events. So it is as a great forecasting tool that helps you to understand and to prepare. When I've had those consultations with my clients to share insights from their solar return charts.
We'll dive into an example. I'll pull up on the screen an example of a random chart. We'll dissect it. So by the way, if you're listening to this in the audio version, you can totally follow along. But when you have time, you should definitely I'll link the YouTube video down below so you can physically see the chart so that you can kind of like begin to understand an example better. But the question I want to ask you, so for me, I think why it's so powerful, twofold. It can help you understand the past, right? So let's say you had a really crazy year, like a bunch of change, a bunch of stuff. Then you could look at your solar return for that year. Let's say you're like, wow, your birthday was, let's say your birthday was in like February of 2021, like the 19th. And from then on to February 19th of 2022, you had a crazy year. You could have someone do your solar return chart, like Cindy, for example, and you could look at what the solar return chart says, and it is crazy because it will share with you, like she was saying, what themes are going on in your life, what changes you can expect, general themes, and it can give you so much clarity and understanding to feel back on track. I think when a lot of major events take place in someone's life, it's very easy to feel like something is going wrong, or you feel off track, or whatever else it may be. And sure, maybe that could be the case, but by understanding, wow, these were the energies at play, no wonder I moved, or no wonder I decided to do this, or no wonder I decided to leave my job, or whatever it was, right? It can provide you clarity. And then in the forecasting, I think it's really great to know ahead of time what are going to be the themes this year in order to reach your fullest potential, right? Because astrology shows you what's possible, and it shows you kind of like the map. And then, like you were saying, that we have free will. So if we know, wow, this would be a really great year for relationships, and maybe if you know that ahead of time, you can perhaps start doing some inner work, or being more aware of that, or just being more open to it. Or maybe it's like a big year of change, so then you know, as changes begin happening, that you're on track, right? So can you speak to how it can be beneficial, and what you see the benefits of it looking retrospectively, and then of course looking forward? Because I feel like it has both. I feel like not only, I think a lot of people of course would love to forecast, and we're curious beings, but I think that even looking back, it can provide a lot of clarity and insight, right?
Yes, and about forecasting ability of the solar return, because we can look at the next 12 months, but also the next 12 months, and then the next 12 months. So basically, you could forecast your life years and years and years ahead and see when those changes gonna come. And I have some of my curious clients who say like, oh, when I'm gonna get married. And because you could combine multiple forecasting techniques, yes, one of the technique would be solar return, and you see that, okay, in this and this year, during that time, there is very likely that you will get married, right? But then, you could double check that with some other techniques. And speaking about some of the retrospect things that you could gain from the solar return, one of my clients, so I just had recently experience with her. So she is preparing to move, because when we did the reading last year, she saw that some big changes are coming, and she was not sure where, because she didn't plan on any changes and it was stable. But the change that was indicated in her chart, that something very significant will change in her life connected to her career, and she didn't plan on any changes. So she was kind of like, I'm not sure what it is. But guess what happened? So you guys know all the situations that's happening in the world, and she's Russian, by the way. So there were sanctions. So she is U.S. citizen. She could not continue working for a Russian company. So she had to move back either US or in Europe. So, and that's when she connected with me, and she's like, hey, you were absolutely right. So now I'm looking for a job in Europe. And guess what? I've got this offer and we are preparing to move. So she was ready that something's big gonna come. And when this thing happened, yes, it was still kind of, I would not say unexpected out of blue, because she knew that something significantly amazing and change will happen in her life. So she received that more easily. If you could imagine someone who would not be prepared, they was like, oh my God, what it is, and like what's happening. But once you know what is in for you, then you will be ready. And now, of course, we did the solar return reading for her next 12 months, and we saw that the move is going to be smooth, because you could see how all those things that are unfolding now gonna progress in the next 12 months, in the next 12 months. So with this solar return, we saw that she will move, and the move will be positive. So she'll be able, because you could see how your child's gonna feel, how your husband's gonna feel if you are married, because everything is in your birth chart, right? So we saw, and also the birth chart, solar return chart will tell you where the challenges could come. So, and I told her, hey, you will, because her seventh house was highlighted. So it means business partners, and there were Lilith position there. So it means that there are some challenges that she may not fully understand. And guess what? It is a different language. Yes. So she is preparing herself, and she starts studying more about the culture of this country. And so she starts preparing, basically, because she knows that the move gonna happen, and she is preparing herself to make it smooth, to make it successful, and to put herself in the position of success. And then this solar return chart also tells you, yes, this will be the challenges during this year. You need to do this X, Y, and Z to prepare. And these areas, for example, her financial situation, we saw that her financial situation will much improve. And, also she was worried, because when she signed this contract, this offer, they promised her X, Y, and Z, A, B, and C, but how are they going to deliver? And the solar return chart shows, like, yes, you will get this money, so everything will be smooth. So it removes some of the anxiety that you may have about certain area of your life. And your solar return amazingly coincides with the areas or the events that's happening in your life. Obviously, there are some events that you may not know. For example, where Uranus is in your solar return, which tells like what something unexpected will happen, right? And because again, it's analysis of different planets, and they rule different houses, and they are connected with your natal chart. So solar return is an analysis or forecast of your next 12 months on its own, but also in the connection with your natal chart. So it is kind of complicated, comprehensive way of telling what's going to happen in your next 12 months.
Yeah, and I think it also can make it can give you, like you're saying, a lot of clarity moving forward. So let's say someone is really searching for a partner, right? By looking at your solar return, you could kind of see when that will be the most likely for that person. So instead of that person every year getting discouraged, you could clearly see, like, 'cause everyone's different, right? Some people find their partner young, sometimes older, sometimes in between, sometimes it's so vast. And if you know, like, oh, this upcoming year looks like a career focus or travel focus, so then you're not going to be kind of going against the energy, so to say. So if you see that your next year is super supportive of traveling, then you could say, oh, okay, then I'm going to focus on that next year, maybe, or like be more open to it, right? And really, when I get invited on trips or I get inspired, like that's the energy that's kind of like in my path. So if by following it, I'm going to feel, people talk about being in alignment all the time, right? Like, oh, I feel in alignment or I don't feel in alignment. And I feel like you're in alignment when you're following your natural kind of like I feel like we're all seeds when we're born. And like you're saying, then we have our chart, and that's kind of like our kind of course of blooming, you could say. So if you, when you're following along with your own natural energy, I feel like you feel very on track. And then when you're in doing things or in situations that feel off, it's because you're going against that energy. So let's say someone had like that energy or show they were going to travel a lot, and like that was the main theme, just as an example. It's oversimplified, but let's just say. And then but instead they were trying to find a partner like locally. They might feel frustrated because they're kind of not utilizing, just like for example, when we go into astrological seasons, right? Like right now we're in Scorpio season, so it's a great time for transformation. It's a great time for like rebirth and healing and all that stuff. If right now you were trying to have more of like a, I don't know, a Leo energy, right? It wouldn't be, it's not the same framework of energy. And so when you work with the current energetics, of course you have free will and you can feel how you want to feel and do what you want to do, but the more you're like going with the flow of the energy that's at hand, you're going to feel more supported. So for that person, if they thought, okay, this is a travel year for me, or that's a really great opportunity, they might take all those opportunities that could lead them to such amazing places, and then they're feeling fulfilled, they're feeling like inspired, versus if they didn't have look at their solar return and they were really focused on partnership, maybe they didn't find it that year, then felt like, oh, what, like a little bit discouraged. But when you know what's ahead, then you can say like, okay, this is what the energy is at the moment, so I'm going to utilize this, and then whenever the time is right for the next thing, I will be prepared for that thing. So I think that that's also, it can be like, okay, if I, like for example, if you know, when it's for, let's say it's going from fall to winter, you're not that scared of winter because you know that spring will come, right? So it's kind of like, you know what's after that. But if you're in winter and you never know when spring is going to come, it can make you
Or
feel like,
whether
when is this?
a winter will end, right?
Yeah,
You're,
exactly. So
oh
you
my
might,
God,
or
so it's
or if you're
winter.
going through a more intense or difficult time, it feels like it never is going to end. So I feel like with a solar return reading, my friend and I were talking about this, it can give you a lot of like peace, knowing like, okay, this year's very transformative, but then the next solar return is more peaceful. And a good example that we can give of this is, I know that if you're into astrology, or even if you're not, you might have heard of like Saturn returns, right? People talk about how that's a very kind of like intense year, but at least during a Saturn return, you know that, okay, this year might be more intense, or maybe not. It's different for people depending on a lot of things. Then you know, like, at least it's going to be over, and then that kind of smooths out. So I feel like it's the same thing with solar returns, right? Because a Saturn return is just a solar return, but for that year when your Saturn is returning,
Yeah, because
essentially.
everything happens in cycles, right? And like you are talking about cycles like Saturn return, and there are more cycles like your lunar nodes return and the quarters, what could happen when you are 18 and a half years and 27.
Yeah,
So
what happens when you're
different.
18 and a half? Because for me, that was so pivotal. It's when I moved to LA. And like, I feel like so many things happened. I mean, like, I moved to LA, got an apartment, got a boob job. It was like all this change. It was a lot of change. So what happens at 18? Just as a side note.
That's the return of your north nodes. So basically, at the time of your birth, there were north and south nodes, and after 18 or 18 and a half years, depending like where they are, because for some people nodes could be retrograde, then it takes a little bit longer, right? So it really depends on your chart, birth chart already, where these nodes, so after 18 and a half years, they are at the same place. And if, like, again, those are believed to be karmic points. So if you were, I would not say good person, but just for the sake of simplicity, you had good karma, then good things gonna happen to you, right? So, and then the life gives you some kind of credit. Okay, you were a good girl, not, naughty girl. Then here you are. And then another checkpoint would be around 27 years old, because there is a quarter, so you have to add about 9 years to the 18 and a half, right? So it is kind of like 27 and a half, maybe 28. right, for some people, then see what happened during that time. That's another
I was a
karmic.
good girl. My 18th year was really good.
Yeah,
So
and you guys could check like what happened, and we could talk on a different forecast podcast about cycles, because Venus has its cycle and it impacts us females, especially because Venus is a archetype of
how often does
female.
Venus, like, how many years do you see it return?
Uh, I think it's 8 or 9. I don't remember exactly, but I think it's 8 or 9. So.
Okay, you know what I would love to do? So if you're watching the video, if you're listening, definitely come back watch the video. I'm gonna pull up a random chart, and we'll kind of like dissect a solar return, right? Just as an example, or just a few points that I think it'll give a lot of clarity. Are you down to do that?
Uh, sure, but I mean, I would like to like someone. Oh, it's not interactive, so we cannot ask people to tell their date of birth and tell like what's going on. I am working currently on some of the orders for the solar return.
Okay, so here's an example of a solar return chart of one of my friends actually, and it is her chart from 2022 to so her birthday is January 8th, right? 8th.
9, 9.
9th, oh my gosh. Yeah, I'm like January 9th, 2022. Well, she wasn't born this year, but like she celebrated her birthday on the 9th of 2022. This is her solar return chart from this January to January 9th, 2023. So basically from January 9th, 2022, 1 year, to January 9th, 2023. So tell us a little bit about what you see here.
So you start looking at where the majority of planets are, and we see that the majority of planets are near the ascendant, so they are on east side of your chart. It means that during this year, this person will express her own will and will make decisions by herself. She is less influenced by what other people are telling her to do, or what other people are impacting in her life. So
Can you explain what the difference between east and west would be then? Because I'm curious.
East is where your ascendant is and where your planets are rising, and west.
But what you mean how it plays out? You were just explaining how it means that. So would west mean you're influenced by other people more?
Yeah, west side, it means that when you make decisions, you are more influenced by other people. And in solar return, it means that during that time, other people will influence your life more rather than yourself. So here, all the changes that she's going to experience, they are driven by her own decisions versus then decisions by other people.
Mm-hmm.
Then you look at the position of the ascendant and MC or IC, right? So ascendant is in Pisces. It means that this year the focus is like her own focus, her own main goal will be on her spirituality. So she devotes a lot of time during that 12 months on her spirituality and also on travel, because it's ruled by Neptune.
Oh my gosh, she's traveled so much this year for work, so much.
Yes. And then you look at where the majority planets are, like which house or area of life is emphasized. And we can see here that the 11th house has 5 planets and sun. Also, you have to pay attention where the sun is located. So it is in the 11th house. And the 11th house is social work, interactions with other people, interactions with people who have similar interests, and friends. So it means that during that time of the year, and also we look like which signs are here. So it's Capricorn and Aquarius. And Capricorn, it means, your career. So what it means that there are a lot of interactions with people who have similar interests in her career. So mostly she was doing, again, Mercury is in Aquarius, right? So a lot of communication, a lot of education because of her career. So she had a lot of interactions, social interactions, but they were mostly career driven, and also interactions with people with similar interests that could be of spiritual nature, right? Because we have
it's literally me because she moved near me.
Ascendant on her AC. And if we look at her MC as the highest point, like it would indicate what would be the key event. And because it is in Sagittarius and Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter, it means expansion. So her life, like in her life, she experienced expansion, and expansion very often means travel. So travel or move, right? So
And she moved this year as well.
yeah, so it could mean that she expanded her knowledge, because Jupiter also indicates that knowledge expansion, especially knowledge expansion in the esoteric place, because you see it is in the 12th house, which is about spirituality, esoteric, and also it's in Pisces. So it is another
You have to
indication.
explain. Just I think people might have gotten lost. So because it's in Sagittarius and Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter, then you looked where Jupiter
Yes.
was. Yeah.
Yes, and we look like where the Jupiter. So we know that there was expansion, but then you see like where this expansion was, and you have to see the ruler of your MC, and it is in this specific case, it is Jupiter. So for every person, it will be different because Jupiter rules Sagittarius, right? And then it is in Pisces, and in Pisces, Jupiter means a lot of learning, a lot of expansion knowledge in that spiritual space. So I would say
What does the moon in the first house mean?
and a moon indicates where most changes experience. So it means your knowledge, because you know the first house is about your belief, your body also. So it means she may probably had some changes in her weight, like up and down, so it was not stable. So she may lost weight, she may gain weight. So basically some changes within how she looks, but also it could indicate her beliefs. So she had a lot of changes in her beliefs. So she may change her theory
Outlook
about something, outlook. Yes.
on
So
life.
it means all about her own. It's kind of like me, it's ego. First house is all about self. So her self experience a lot of changes. That's what it means.
Wow. See, just to given just by looking at that, right? This wasn't even diving very deep. This was just kind of looking just generally how much you can know. So imagine that you got to see this the year ahead, right?
Now I have her natal chart, and on top of that, I have her solar return chart. You have to see how these two charts interact with one another. So we see that her AC, or the focus main theme of the year, was around her place of living. So it means that she will experience some changes where she lived. So it means change in her place of living. When I look at this, I would say that she's gonna have main theme will be around her residence or some changes within family. But then kind of when you combine both, you will see exactly which, because it's kind of elimination also involved here, right? Because we know that fourth house signifies family, but also signifies her residency. And then combining what we just saw before and this one, you will tell like, hey, it's probably her residency, because her MC was changed and we saw that it meant expansion, right? Then you see here a lot of planets are, and her sun is in second house, and second house is your money house, your financial resources. So, and when sun is in the second house, it means that her financial resources, her money situation was highlighted during this year, and it probably improved because it is here with Venus, and Venus always gives some positive influence on finance.
And that's true. She moved up, leveled up quite significantly in her company.
Yes. And then we see where her MC, and MC, that's the highest point of a chart. It also in that second house. So there's another indication that her money situation was driven by her career, and she put a lot of efforts, right? Because Mars indicates where the efforts this person took. And because it will be ninth house of the solar return, it means that she traveled a lot. Her activity was spent like on travel, on expansion, on learning more. more, doing more, communicating more, because also her third house is highlighted here.
You can see just from looking at that chart briefly, right? And when you do a reading, you go even more in depth, but just even from that, how much information you can get. And like I was saying, I think it's so cool because it can give you clarity looking back and forward, or just about your year where you are. So let's say, like, let's say for me, right, my birthday is May 25th, so my cycle would be from May 25th of this year to the next year. It can kind of give you clarity on what themes are where you are right now, which can give you so much information. And it can also, I feel like the biggest one of the things that I love the most about solar returns is it really shows you that we all have our own unique path, right? So for someone, their path might be like, I don't know, they travel a lot and then at 30 they settle down and then they get married and have a kid. Someone, it might be like at 22 they have a kid and then at 30 they start their dream business. Like, everyone has such a different path, and I think that in our world we see like a lot of comparison, and we think that everyone's path should be like identical, right? Like, go to school, you get job, you live an apartment, you find someone, you save, you move into house, you live in suburbia, and then your kids repeat the cycle. Like, it's there's, and we just, everyone kind of compares a linear timeline, but all of us have our own unique energy, our own unique blueprint, our own unique potential, and we have such different paths. And our solar returns are just such powerful examples of that. Like, you could find a friend who's the exact same age as you, right? And you both look at your charts and you have a completely different focus for the year, completely different themes, completely different lessons. And I think that that's like so when I was talking to my other friend who also really loves solar return charts, and she was saying the same thing about how it just gives you the biggest understanding of like we are all on our own unique paths. And I don't know if you want to speak to that a little bit. I think that's just the most fascinating, because we tend to think, oh, like, I'm this age, I should be doing this, or I should be doing this, or I should be doing this, I should, like, all these things. When you follow your own energy, you really move at your own pace. So what's kind of what are your thoughts on that? If there's any thoughts you'd like to share.
Sure. So
Sure, here I go.
I mean, the majority probably of our listeners are females, and all girls want to have pretty wedding, want to get married and have that dream. I don't know, that's something embedded into all females. Like, hey, after, I don't know, you start work after graduating from college, and some people even earlier. I hope you guys not into that part. We all want to have that Mr. Perfect, the one with whom you want to share the rest of your life, with whom you would like to fall in love and take care of each other, right? So, and the majority of my clients are about that age, 26, 27, 28-ish, so just before 30. And of course, the most popular question, guess what? It is about love life and marriage. Like, when I'm gonna meet him.
When is my man coming?
Yes, yes, yes. And as Polina alluded, so the solar return will tell you if it's gonna happen that year or not. And don't be surprised if, for example, the focus of this year, even if you are like 26 or 27, is not gonna be on your love life. So you have to be ready. It's all about divine timing. Yes, we all have our unique path, and we have to trust our divine timing. So our higher self, or our blueprint, or our guides, or spiritual guides, basically help you say like, hey, this is, if you follow this, you're gonna be more happy,
More
but
happy. It's way better than what you
more
would.
successful.
Like, your life path is gonna be way better than anything that you could like humanly orchestrate, because you can only orchestrate from your limited view, when life, the cosmos, can orchestrate from like like, you can't even compare like your little eyes trying to orchestrate it to like the hands of the divine, right?
Exactly. So like, this is best course of action. Like, they give you, hey, this is the GPS. This is how you should follow. And you'll say like, no, don't want GPS. I don't listen to GPS. I'll drive my own. And then you hit, one bump, then another bump, then you hit another turn that like, oh my God, this was wrong. So you make a detour. So that's how we could compare. But if you have this roadmap, you know what to expect during the next 12 months. You know what to prepare, because as what we just discussed, it was very brief summary or key highlights of that solar return forecast, right? So, but I will share for example, those who order solar return, I will share what the
Okay,
chart
my next question is
in
gonna
this
be,
year.
so let's say someone's listening to this and they're like, I love this, I need this immediately. So, how do they find you? How do they get the birth chart? How long does it take? What can they expect? Tell us all the details.
Uh, well, so I hope you will share the link below
I
to
will,
my
yes, I will share the
website.
link below.
Yes, Polina will share the link below where you guys could order a solar return reading, or if you would like to understand more about yourself, who you are, who you meant to become, your
I recommend
soul
both, by the way, but
purpose.
this is the she's the ultimate birth chart reading is like the main reading that most people get. It's the most in-depth, full-on reading all about you. You get a binder. It's like literally understanding your soul, like, and it's unbelievable. You get to keep it for life, and you reference back to it and flip through it. I recommend that what you get it once, and you have that for forever to flip back to the. So this is
Yeah,
your
I
this.
mean, then sometimes I understand now, kind of like we live in a time of uncertainty. Maybe we don't want to invest into the ultimate birth chart because you guys understand it's a lot of my hours, a lot of work and knowledge and expertise. You could order a basic birth chart. It still gives you a lot of information about you, who you are, the composition of energy, analysis of all planets, analysis of all areas of your life, without some details that require more time for me to uncover. So if you are on a budget, you could order a basic birth chart. You still get a lot of information and insights about you yourself. But the solar return, I am doing special low price for months of November, December. So guys, if you would like to jump on that offer,
What a great gift, like, for a friend. I think that would be amazing. Like, I
or
would love
even
to
for yourself,
treat
for the
yourself.
new year, kind of like order it for yourself and see what's coming in the next 12 months. So it will come in the PDF. So both readings will come in the PDF. And how many pages, it really depends. For example, the ultimate birth chart reading, it's about 35 pages. Depends how many aspects each planet has, like, because it's all, I describe all the interactions, right? So it really depends on your birth chart. For the solar return, it's about 10 pages so far. So again, really depends how your planets, if they have aspects with some other planets with their natal chart. So then I describe that. If they are on angular point, I mean, it really depends on your birth chart. So it's up to 10 pages, could be more. And once you order it, first come, first served basis. So if you order it now, and let's say there are no other people in front of you, then it will be delivered within 10 business days, right? Because I have to check also to, like, with you, go back and forth sometime to make sure that your birth chart is accurate. I may ask some of the questions about some things that I need some details to make sure that your birth
So
chart
I
is
always say, like, it's similar for me because I hand make all the jewelry for Lift Your Frequency. So it's like the earlier your order is in, the earlier you'll receive your orders. If you know you want it, it's better to place it earlier than later, because if you wait, let's say even a few days, there might be like 10 or 20 more orders in front of you, just as an example.
Yes, and as I said, like, for a limited time until this end of this year, I'm doing special at lower price, and I will increase the price in the next year, like 2023. So I invite you guys to explore and learn about what's the future is having for you in front of you.
Yeah, it's just it's so fascinating, astrology. I remember one of the coolest things was on the day that I got engaged, my chart indicated that, and I thought that was wild because that wasn't even the planned date. Like, my husband later told me that he actually wanted to propose the day before, but I had no idea. So I wanted to go bike riding and I had a lot of other plans, so I pushed everything back, and it ended up being the next day. So, like, it seemed like it was like behind in a way, but when you look at the chart, it was like that exact day. I think it was December 1st, 2020. So just so, like, how wild astrology is and how the energy is that, like, that even if someone plans something for that day, for some reason that day I wanted to go bike riding. Like, I don't even know why that it moved it back. So just how, like you were saying, how powerful astrology is in, like, moving events, even when you feel like I mean, we do it for you, but even when you feel like no, there's no way like we can mess things up. Like you can't really mess things up because I thought I would mess things up, but it was like actually the most perfect day for that.
Yeah, so you will be surprised and stunned like myself when you start looking. And some of you guys know that I have academic background, so I am a researcher, have PhD in physics, so I'm very fascinated to do more digging. And when I see something interesting, it's kind of like I become very excited, like, oh my God, how come? How it's so amazing when you see all those things. It's in some regards, it's like digging treasure, right? But about yourself. And you, when you uncover those things, and especially within your birth chart, right? So when you uncover different things, and one of my clients said it's better than go to psychotherapy, because when you go to the psychologist, it takes years and years and years to uncover something, but the birth chart, it's gonna give
It's
it to
like
you like
here's you, here's how you are, here's why you're like that. Like
exactly. And
here's
this is what's gonna
everything.
help you. The cool thing is that, for example, if you have a weak planet that signifies a certain issue within your health and within your psyche, then there are tips that your birth chart indicates how you could heal that, like what would be the remedy for that.
Wow. I love that. For me, this is very random. Last thing I want to say is interesting. So for me, I notice I don't have any water in my chart, and my moon's in Capricorn, and I notice that every time I go to the water, so like to the beach, I instantly feel emotionally fulfilled, like instantly. Sometimes I make excuses not to go, but when I go, I instantly feel emotionally fulfilled. So it's like whenever I like water that moon, like or bring water in, like physically, like in my environment, it's just the craziest thing. Like I could be in not a good mood, I go like to the beach even for like 30 minutes, like instantly my mood like
Or even you soak in a bath.
or even soak in a bath. Yeah, so just like how it has kind of like clues even there, like oh my chart, my moon's earth stone. By watering that, it's going to lead to emotional fulfillment, and if there's not enough emotional fulfillment in life, then that begins to dry out and begins to kind
Yeah,
of
but I mean,
feel dry.
in your case, it's also specific. So, guys who are listening, it's not necessarily that if your moon is in Earth, her moon is in Capricorn, and her MC is in water sign. So that,
Scorpio.
yeah, so that's why. So in your case, it could be different. So don't think that for
Everyone's like, I need to take bath every day.
yeah, yeah. So it could be different. So
Well,
she's just sharing her own, and you, as Polina alluded, like we're all unique, and you could uncover all those uniqueness or traits from your birth chart, because the date and time where you were born, they're not random. It's all connected, like the universe, or how you call that, higher self, delivers you at the perfect time, at the divine time.
yeah, and like just like how you were born, it literally such the divine perfect time where influences your whole life. It's like it's so then every event is also like just like the divine wanted to bring you into the world at a specific time, every other event in your life also wants to happen at a specific time. And in our world, it's like can teach you so much to trust your path, stop comparing, and like see like the miracle of your own story, I feel.
Yes.
Okay, well, what a
Yeah,
powerful episode. Oh,
other cool thing is that with power of astrology, if, for example, you could see there are some challenging events are approaching, you could change times, right? For example, I have one of my clients that wanted to travel at certain time, but then when we looked, it's like, oh, it's not good time because it basically could jeopardize his health. So he moved his plans, he traveled earlier, and when this time forecasted came, he actually was sick and he could not even walk. So it was just kind of like perfect that because of this astrology, he changed his traveling plans, and when this thing happened, he was already home.
see, like, I can't come into work today. My chart says I need
Yeah.
to rest right now. I have a difficult time ahead. Just kidding.
Mhm.
Cancel clearly. It's okay. Um,
Because we are empowered. So your solar return, your birth chart, the forecasting techniques that astrology has, and it's not necessarily only solar return, there are also transits that I really like, and other techniques that astrology has, they are so powerful, and I use them in combination, for example, to tell with certainty that yes, this will happen. So you connect multiple forecasting tools to make sure that you deliver the accurate message.
Yeah, it's amazing, and ever since I feel like I started understanding more and more about it, I was so blown away. And like, you don't want to look too far. Like, if like 2 years, you're like, okay, because then otherwise, imagine you have an amazing year on like 6 years, you're like, gotta wait, But it's just so cool to understand the past. I think to understand what's happening now, and then like 1 year ahead. Even I think that that's like the perfect amount. Like, I don't know, I just think that's so cool. Or just at least know this, like know year 22, 2023. I think it's so good to know, or even your 2023, 2024. I just think it's amazing
Yeah,
to
I mean,
know.
I check like a few years ahead, like what's gonna happen.
Oh my
Right.
gosh. But yeah, I think it's so fascinating. So I definitely suggest, if you haven't, it's such a great way to gain so much clarity and insight and understanding. And I don't know, like, I feel like anyone would want it. I don't know, for me, I'm like, instantly, I need this. So if you enjoyed this episode, I hope that you found it really helpful. Like I said, if you were listening to the audio version, check the keynotes and definitely hop on the YouTube version so you can watch and see like when we dissected the chart, just so you can get a little bit of a better understanding if you want, or if audio you understood it well enough, then that's beautiful as well. As like I said earlier, I will of course have the link down below to the ultimate birth chart reading, the basic birth chart reading, and of course the solar return reading. So I'm really excited for everyone to get their readings, because I think it's just going to be so give you so much healing and clarity, and I don't even have words. They're so amazing in my opinion. And so I'm really excited for everyone to get their readings. Any final words you have to say before signing off?
Well, even though astrology and whatever is forecasting you that this and this is going to happen, also remember that you have free will, and it's up to you how you're going to use this opportunity, if you're going to harness those opportunities, or you will just kind of like sit and wait and say like, oh, because this is what's happened, I'm going to do nothing. So we're still creators of our life. Yes, these energies are impacting us, but we have the power either harness those opportunities or just to let them flow by.
Yeah, it's like it's like if you could see a forecast and it says something's gonna happen, but then you never leave your house and you just sit every day. Like, do you know what I mean? You also have to kind of play your role. It's like knowing that there's energy. For example, you see, oh, this year I have a lot of opportunity in communication, so maybe you start posting more. Maybe you start like signing up to speak. You utilize that. You notice that right here, right now, I have this energy. You know, it's interesting. I'd love to see, actually. I don't know. It's interesting. I started pole dancing this year, so I wonder if that showed that in my chart, because like it literally, I started in April, so a month, 2 months before my birthday. So it'd just be really
We will
interesting.
look. We will look.
Yeah, well, look, but it's like you just know what the energy is. So if you're like, oh, I know it's a very, I focus on communication, then maybe, like I said, you finally start your business, you start posting on social media, maybe start making video, like
Or
you use.
starting writing a book. So, for example, if some of you guys feel very creative and sharing your thoughts, just write a book. Start during that year when your energy of communication is activating and giving you this opportunity to be more present and share your thoughts in the communication field with others.
Yeah, or if you know it is a year for your love life, then download the dating apps. Start putting yourself out there. Like, it's when you know what the energy is, you utilize it. That person's just not gonna knock on your door. I mean, maybe, but you know what I mean. Like, you like, what the energy is, so you can put your focus there. Essentially, it's just like, like, oh, this is where energy's flowing in my life. So if I put my focus on there, it's like double activating it. It's like this is a waterfall of the cosmos putting energy. So if I put energy here too, it's super strong. You can always put your energy anywhere, but if you know that life is pouring its energy into this area of your life, and then you start pouring, it's like way much more of a powerful effect. I feel like in that way, when you know there's a focus or an emphasis on that. And like I said, you have free will, and you can in a similar theme can play out in many ways. Like, one theme, depending on how you engage with life, can look very differently. Just like how 10 people can learn the same lesson in a completely different way. Someone's like, oh, I learned that lesson when traveling through a nice experience. Someone's like, I had trauma, I learned that lesson. Someone's like, I learned that lesson when I was 30. I learned that lesson when I was 10. Like, everyone, just how we can learn the same lesson through so many different dynamics. This is the same thing of how we can have the different themes and lessons in our life, in our solar return, but depending on how we view the world, our beliefs, how we engage, how we perceive, how we respond, how we create, is it how we co-create and how we create in life, the what we create becomes really different in that way, right? Like this happens to have the same themes, but what it looks like physically and tangibly can perhaps like even vary, right? Just the themes
Right.
are still the
And
same or similar.
as I said, if you know your solar return and you know, for example, that during the next 12 months your love life will be activated and you will have opportunity for a serious romantic relationship, and you are sitting doing nothing, or you are on your phone on the dating app and you swipe everyone, no, don't like, don't like, don't like, don't like, don't like, you just let this opportunity pass by. So you have to be open to communicate. So maybe just
Go on
yeah,
hot girl walks every single day,
exactly
10,000
like that.
steps.
Just swipe, read the description. Don't look at the picture, because we know sometimes pictures do not reflect how
Especially men, they don't
Sure.
take the best pictures. Yeah, just put yourself out there. Go on walks. I swear.
Yeah, go on walks, or as I mentioned, like be put yourself out and be available for those opportunities. Even when Polina was going on some dates, she would ask me like, "Should I go?" And I said, "Of course you should go." And she's like, "Oh, I don't feel like it. I don't like him." And I was like, "Okay, just go and enjoy. Just have a nice time." So, and then you may connect on a different level than just looks. So that's my advice for those who would like to use opportunities in romantic area.
Exactly. Just say yes, because if it doesn't turn out to anything, at least it's a good story. And I have a lot of stories, you know. So at least like later you can look back and laugh. It'll be like
Yeah,
amusement for you. And I
yeah,
think this is like a general theme. Just like say yes to life in general.
right.
Okie dokie. I'm like, I could sit here all day and talk about philosophies, but I'm so glad we did this episode. I'd love to do another episode in the future. Like you were talking about cycles, like different cycles, like about maybe Venus and the moon, like just to understand when in life we're getting, because life is always all these cycles, but how we can understand maybe patterns when we know, oh, this is
Right. And
happening every.
some karmic points, some years that you should pay attention to what happens, and then you will understand whether you worked, did the inner work, or for this planet, or which planet needs more work or needs more enhancement. And then we could talk about some enhancements or some compensation and stuff like that.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for joining us. You also have an Instagram, right, where you share a lot of astrological information. So I'll have that down
Yeah.
below. You have a lot of reels about the energies, what's coming up.
And YouTube channel as well.
She's everywhere. So I'll have her YouTube down below with some really great content. Instagram, I love following. She shares so many different things on what to expect each month. It was even each week. Really great content. And of course, I'll leave all the links to the readings down below so you can grab your reading today and get to know about the cycles in your life and the patterns and perhaps kind of the themes that you can expect to see.
Yes.
Thank you so much for joining, and I will see you guys next week on Unlimited Abundance.
Thank you, guys. See you. Bye.
Bye.